Like, she's
It's
in
like
the
that
team
kid.
photos, and she's still like, I wouldn't be surprised if by game 7, she's at the end of the bench, just sitting there.
Just by game 10, she's just fully dressed in her UConn gear, just sitting on the bench, just
With a
waiting.
whistle.
With a whistle.
Today, I realized there's so many things I don't know how to do and I need to hire out. And one of those things
It took you till
is-
today, 39 years into life.
I've got good optimism. I feel like I could learn most things. This guy was an environmental engineer. He and another man came down and they removed 300 gallons of oil from a house and didn't get a drop of oil anywhere. Okay, welcome to Let Her Shoot, a very special episode. This is the only podcast that we know of, let me move my mic closer, that covers women's sports the way that we want them covered, right? Okay? We give you the tea. Yeah, we do. That's
tea.
first and foremost. The tea. We don't give you the BS, okay? We're not out here pumping the tires of a allegedly not Saudi-backed, but definitely Saudi-backed league, okay? We're not out here.
The only ones telling you it's a Saudi-backed league.
Listen, we're the only ones that are willing to say, hey, these people in charge of this league, NECA, they're killing folks, allegedly. We respect the athletes and the fans enough to tell you the goddamn truth, and that's the reason to stay locked in. The truth, the tea, and the hilarity. Sarah Chovnick, she's the talent of the talent. 2-time talented Emmy Award-winning producer. Trysta is the talent with the bunny ears, the one that's yapping. 0-time Emmy Award-winning or nominated talent. The question is, can you see our hype button? I don't know if you can, but hopefully at some point you can on YouTube. So if you like our stuff, subscribe on YouTube, like us on YouTube, comment on YouTube, also on iHeart, also on Spotify and Apple. Follow us also on all of our social media platforms, on TikTok, Instagram, at The Daily W Sports, as well as Threads. So this is a special episode, Sarah. Why are we doing it?
Well, why are we doing it?
Yeah. What's the topics that we're covering and why it needs to be put out on a Friday
this
instead of on Tuesday?
This is episode 1 of our brand new Friday College series that we're going to be doing. Basketball season is officially upon us. Started on Monday. So the all season, we're going to bring you our takes, our opinions, our college special, because there's just too much to talk about for us to cover it all on a Monday or a Tuesday, which is when you see it. So in this episode, we're going to bring you our way too early predictions, reactions, and takes from game 1 of the season. So when they say don't jump to conclusions, that's exactly what we're about to do. We're about to jump to all the conclusions.
All I do is jump to conclusions.
All we do is jump to conclusions. We have to start out with the fact that we're not going to do this in a totally unbiased manner. So roll Tide.
I don't have anybody on my team that I can really root for, but Sabrina, I got your back forever. I haven't seen any Oregon games so far, but I will support you. Both of our teams are not exactly the top of the tippy top. But we do have to sort of talk about the team that has been at the tippy top.
The tippy top.
The sustained dominance and now got back to the top of the mountain in UConn. So they end up playing Louisville. And they got up early.
Stomped them.
Well, they first and foremost got up like 20-something points in the first half. And they only won by 13. And so I think the thing that a lot of people are wondering about is, will this UConn team continue to keep its foot on the gas? Because anytime the foot is on the gas, they can run teams off the floor.
Yeah, I mean, I think at one point, Louisville got to a 9-point. They had brought it back in to within 9 with like halfway through the fourth quarter. And I don't think I ever thought once that like they would really come back to push them. But I do think that it forced us to see how they would play under a little bit of pressure, maybe. They lost. Obviously, we know that they They lost Paige. Geno even made a comment that losing Paige was like losing 3 players. Now, I think he said it a little tongue-in-cheek because he also meant, like, Paige's, the responsibility of 3 players on the team as well.
So I thought the thing that was fascinating about what Geno said is that because they're a national champion and they're set to repeat again, and that's what everybody expects from them, is that it was like probably the first time that I've heard Geno say this out loud. It's very Nick Saban-y when he left coaching and got into broadcasting, got into more broadcasting, is he was like, what we can't do is beat ring camera went off. What we can't do is beat teams by 20 and act like we lost the game because we should have beaten them by 40. We can't, otherwise we're going to be miserable all year long.
Right.
And I thought that was a really kind, generous, patient old man, like that only the man that turns into the Up character can do. Because in previous years, not that long ago, and I can't recall when the last time this type of thing would have been said, is that Geno would have been pissed. He would have been like, how do you allow a team to come back when you're up 20-something points in the first half? And then they cut it to 9. And I think he started to say, like, listen, we're going to have these little hiccups where we don't play perfectly. We've got new players on the team that you're going to mention just in a second. We're integrating people back in. There's players with new roles. Azzy's now by herself. No more Paige. Sarah Strong is trying to become a point guard for this team. Like, Sarah Strong decided, I'm going to take the ball up, which is absolutely insane. And there's going to be some missteps there. So I just want to say shout out to old man from Up, Geno Auriemma, for at least giving a little grace to a team where he would have been a persnickety little fuck and been like, we didn't do this and we didn't do that. And that's what Nick Saban used to do. Like, I ain't asking, and now that he's on game day, he's all chilling. And he's like, oh, got to give Alabama a little bit of a break. And that's what Geno's doing while he's still as a coach. So I just wanted to give him the golf claps. And obviously, Paige is probably what has softened his Charmin.
Yeah, I mean, Paige, we saw Paige on the
She's never leaving
stands.
this team.
She was in the stands of their season opener looking nervous as hell. Just
the
looking
memes.
She posted on her story, like, it was a meme that's like, bro thinks he's on the team. And it was like, Paige was like, ugh, so me right now. And yeah, I mean, she's missing it for sure. They did just fine without her.
She's like an emotional support page.
She is an emotional support page. That's
it's
exactly
like, let's
what
just pretend Paige is still on the team, but that she
just
tore
let
her
her hang
ACL or something. Like, she's in
like
the
that
team
kid.
photos, and she's still like, I wouldn't be surprised if by game 7, she's at the end of the bench, just sitting there.
Just by game 10, she's just fully dressed in her UConn gear, just sitting on the bench, just
with
waiting.
a whistle.
With a whistle. She's like that kid that, that guy that comes back to the frat parties and everyone's like, what's Steve doing here? Didn't Steve graduate? And it's like, yeah, we just kind of like,
Steve doesn't have anything better to do.
He has nothing else to do right now but come hang out.
And he's like, do you want a cake stand? You want to do a cake stand? It's like,
you want
no,
to do a cake
Steve,
stand? Like,
Steve, you're 25, okay?
Steve,
Don't
go
you have
home.
a job? Don't you have work tomorrow?
That's Paige. That's Paige at UConn. It's Paige in stores. Well, I guess they weren't in stores. They were in Annapolis. Sarah Strong, you brought her up in her first time as playing point guard, apparently. She had 21 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists.
And Geno said she didn't even play well.
I texted you halfway through the game, and I said, Sarah Strong is so fucking good.
If
she had one like little behind the one-hander, she took it all the way down, one hand up. Didn't even switch, like, at no point did her left hand even touch the ball. She looks so effortless. What do you think you see out of Sarah Strong that gives UConn this leg up?
Oh, I think that they have such versatility, right? You've got Azzy, who's there as a two-way player, who can steady the ranks, who can shoot the deep 3. I said our girl Ashlyn Shade. We got some big minutes out of Ashlyn Shade. Obviously,
She had like 21 minutes, didn't she?
Yeah,
Something like
she
that?
played great. KK Arnold is a defensive specialist primarily that she got busy on taking a scoring load with 13, 7, and 2. And then you add in some more size with Sarah Williams, who looks absolutely gigantic out there.
She does.
And then you bring Kaylee Heckle off the bench, and she has 14 and has a steal and literally still shoots 50% after missing her threes. So I think it's just like, this is a very deep team. This is a very they're experienced in their own individual roles, but they're not experienced altogether. So the fact that they could go up on a team like Louisville's not a slouch team. This is not like West Kentucky State University ball. You know what I mean? Like this is a real program. So for them to go up 20-something at halftime, and they're still really very far away from their peak, makes me a little scared for everyone else. Louisville was ranked, and they beat that ass. I don't care what the final score is. They beat that fucking ass.
Well, and when you look at their points, like K9, Kaylee Heckle, one of the questions I had written down was, who is going to end up being more valuable to this team? Is it K9 or is it Sarah Williams? I know I have my pick, but which do you think is going to be more impactful to this team?
I think it's probably going to be Kaylee.
That's what I had
more guard play. You have to have that somebody come in, not to replace Paige because you can't really, but you needed somebody who has already had NCAA minutes because they have a couple of freshmen as well. But you need somebody who has NCAA minutes like at a real program. And she was really good last year as well. So it'll probably be her. It's a hard one to say because it's like one game and it's an overreaction, and maybe Sarah Williams ends up being some sort of like glue person. Again, Jen Alafi, I think, is still going to get a lot of minutes. So they're just a stacked team, and they're going to continue to be a team that we watch and talk about. And I can't wait until they play a team that's really someone we think is actually stacked up. But the truth is, there's only a handful of other teams that I think could even match up with them, even in the regular season. And one of them right now is probably LSU.
That was going to be our next topic. Number 5, LSU. That was good. That was a good little segue. Number 5, LSU. They return a lot of players, but really kind of the highlight of their roster right now is the addition of MiLaysia Fulwiley, she came off the bench for game 1. She did not start. Coming from South Carolina, she told The Advocate earlier this week that the reason she left South Carolina was to play point guard, which I thought was interesting. How do you see her role this year for the Tigers? Again, she had 21 points off the bench in 21 minutes, so she had significant time. But what do you foresee her role being with this Tigers offense?
That's a good question. I think she's going to do a little bit of everything. I think she's going to be an energizer. There are players that just play at a speed that's like they're almost on fast forward the whole time. And that is MiLaysia. She's not just an energizing team player. She's also a electrifying, spectacular, highlight,
but not a spark plug.
High octane gal, right? And you're right. Like that's the thing about coming off the bench, and that's what Kim Mulkey was saying. Is like being when people call you a spark plug off the bench, that's kind of like a disrespectful thing to say.
It's kind of like a backhanded compliment.
Yeah, it's like, well, I don't really want to be a spark plug. I kind of want to be the focal point. But they already have Flau'jae. And I think if you're MiLaysia Fulwiley, you can do so many of the things at the pro level. And there's things that right now you can't do. You're not a particularly good point guard. You're going to need to get better at that. You're going to need to get better at your defense. You're going to need to get better, which she had 7 steals in this game. in her first game. So that's like a huge thing. She needs to develop into a more well-rounded guard. And that is what I think she's there to do. She's not there to increase her own accolades. Or she's there for team success and to develop her as a player. And I honestly think we're going to see even more from her. She's going to close out games with Flau'jae. It doesn't really matter if you start. I think it just matters if the ball is in your hand when the game is coming to an end. So I think she's going to be a great defensive specialist. I think she's going to play a lot faster. And I think she's going to provide us with a lot of moments that I'm going to go, ooh-wee!
I remember last year we were watching one of the playoff games. I don't remember which round it was. But I remember you saying something about like one of MiLaysia's weaknesses was spreading the ball around. Do you think that Kim Mulkey's offense or Kim Mulkey's teaching will help her to get to that point?
Yeah, and I think she's even showing it. I saw some of the highlights from that game. And I'm like, oh, well, that was like really good court vision there. That was an awesome bounce pass to some cutter that was coming into the lane. So, yeah, I think that's what we're going to see. Again, TBD, I didn't watch every minute of the curb stopping that was LSU versus Houston Christian, but I'm going to have my eye on
108 to 55,
Yeah, just insane stuff. But I think MiLaysia will do a lot for this team to raise their floor and their ceiling.
I also just love the energy of this team. I really think that we talked about this in our meeting the other day, but the Flau'jae Kim Mulkey relationship is one of those things in college basketball. It's one of those things in women's sports that is like, I don't totally understand it, but I know when I see it, I love it.
They're very much an odd couple.
They're an odd couple. How do you think Flau'jae, because we've talked about this too, that with the absence of Juju, with the absence of Paige, with, no Caitlin Clark, no Angel Reese, this is sort of the year that Flau'jae shines, right? Like it's kind of written in the stars. She signed with Unrivaled in the offseason. She's got all these NIL. I think she's the highest NIL women's athlete right now. Do you think Flau'jae rises to that expectation of being the star of women's college basketball this season?
Well, I think she's got all the intangibles to do that. I don't know that she's going to put up the numbers enough to do it. I think the star is probably going to be AZ. I don't know why we didn't think that when we did this episode, when we were talking about when we were doing the draft way back when it was draft time and it was, Final Four or whatever.
Well, I think back then too there was no Paige. Well, there was Paige, but there was no public Paige.
Just whispers of Paige. I don't know. I think what she did in the tournament, what she's done in the off season, the summer that she's had, the craziness around her, I think it's probably her.
You mean AZ?
Yeah, around AZ.
Yeah.
Flau'jae has all those things, but she wasn't the leading scorer on that team.
No.
She only had 12 points. I don't think it's MiLaysia either. I don't know. I think it's a wait and see. Maybe it's one of those scenarios where there is no brightest shining star, but there's a lot of like little stars, a bunch of stars that we all collectively say the solar system is really lit.
Yeah, leading point scorer in that LSU game was MiLaysia.
Yeah. And
Michaela Williams was the highest scoring starter on the team. So I guess LSU's got to figure out, is it MiLaysia as a spark plug? As Kim Mulkey says, she doesn't want her to be a spark plug. Or is it that the whole team can wrap around and create a...
No, it's Kim Mulkey. Don't get that quote confused.
Okay.
That's all semantics, Sarah.
Okay.
Her ass is coming off the bench.
You don't think she'll be a starter this season at all?
I think if they can win games by a bajillion and she's coming off the bench and she's providing some stability as a point guard while Flau'jae is sitting, or they mix up the rotations and she's closing games as well, then I think MiLaysia will continue to come off the bench. I don't think...
Okay.
I could be totally wrong, but I don't think Kim Mulkey's saying, oh, she's going to be a starter. I think she's saying,
All right.
I don't want to call her a spark plug because it's a deprecatory term that diminishes your role as an energizer off the bench. And that when you're a player, you're like, well, why can't I be the engine? And it's like, you can't be the engine because this is your hired gun and you chose South Carolina. And really, I love Flau'jae and not you. No, I'm kidding about that part. But she's coming. I think she's coming off the bench. I think so. Again, she could be a starter by January. I don't know. We'll see. And maybe it'll be from a game-to-game basis. But I don't think that spark plug comment, you want to read into it as like that her role is changing.
Okay. So, MiLaysia, we know, left South Carolina. She's not the only real kind of exit from their roster this season. Ashlyn Watkins left the team. Well, she didn't leave the team, but she's not with the team this season. As we know, there was some legal issues with her. There was an ACL tear with her, so she's taken the year off. Chloe Kitts tore her ACL also in preseason, so that sucks for them. But they did add Tania Latson. They only have 10 starters, or they only have 10 players on their roster.
Tania Latson, leading college scorer for Florida State last year.
Leading college scorer at Florida State, not just for Florida State.
Yeah. Leading scorer in all of college when she played for Florida State last year. Goes to South Carolina to play with her best friend in Raven Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Again, not necessarily going to have the ball in her hand as much as she did for the Seminoles. And still shot 70% from the field and 50% from three. And gave you 20 points on 10 shots. That right there is exactly what Dawn Staley wants. Efficient offense, seamlessly integrated into what they're already doing. Multiple guard lineup. Very, very fun stuff.
She was by far, I think, to me, the transfer that came out in game one looking the most comfortable with their new team.
Yes.
Which is interesting because I think South Carolina was also the team that was doing a lot of last-minute roster scrambling, kind of up until the end with all of their, 10 players, 10 available players, every single player played in their first game. I mean, Dawn Staley she has to use everyone in their bag at the moment because they just don't have enough players outside of it. Do you think that overall that lack of depth on their roster will hurt them in the season? Or do you think that Tania Latson, Raven Johnson, Tessa Johnson have enough to get them back to the finals?
Well, there's a gal who's now getting a lot more minutes because Chloe Kitts tore her ACL. And Medina Alcott, I think that's how I pronounce her name.
Mm-hmm.
So Dawn Staley's had a lot of really good post players. I mean, just the list really goes on and on and on and on.
Sure.
Leah Edwards, Aaliyah Boston, Asia Wilson.
Just to name a few.
Camila Cardoso.
Yeah, a couple.
So, what you need for Dawn Staley, and this is her blueprint, Dawn Staley needs centers. That's kind of the key to, you need good guard play and you need good bigs, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's why Sarah Strong's so important to UConn. You had Paige, didn't win. Add Sarah Strong, you win. Okay? So this Alcott, right, she is really young.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't supposed to play this many minutes. And she's going to kind of be an ebb and flow situation for her. And I think that
12 points in 17 minutes.
12 points in 17 minutes. She's a senior, and so she was supposed to be waiting in the wings. But if she can be dominant at 6, what is she? 6'6". You kind of need 6'7" players. But 6'6" is fine if she's mobile and she can rebound and she can be physical. She, to me, is actually the key of South Carolina and what they're going to do.
Interesting. Okay.
So I think we need to be watching her because she gets into foul trouble. And then what do? You don't really have any other centers.
Mhm.
Like you said, the team's not deep anyway. And then you got to kind of like patch things together with duct tape and shit. So,
Yeah, right, yeah.
That to me is really what I'm going to be watching. And she needs to step it up, really.
Like, we expect good from Tessa, Tanaya, and Raven, but they need Joyce and Medina to.
Yeah, and Joyce isn't really a center either. She's 6'3". You need Alcott. You just do. That's just what she's the only player with size that you have. So, and that's what we saw last year when they lost Camila Cardoso, is that they had Chloe Kitts, and the non-Chloe Kitts moments were rough. Chloe Kitts wasn't that big either, but at least when she was out there, you could kind of hang around. If this girl gets in trouble with fouls or gets an injury, they are fucked. That's what I say. That's what I believe. I haven't watched a ton of preseason South Carolina, and obviously they're just one game in. But I think that's really an interesting thing to have our eye on.
Another thing I've got my eye on
is the Catholics.
Is the Catholics, right? They're one of the biggest losses of the season came to Notre Dame when Olivia Miles dipped out, and she said, "I'm going to TCU because they're less homophobic."
It's
which is
personal. It's nothing personal to you. But I'm going to go to a different Christian school that's less.
I don't know that it was nothing personal.
Well, that's kind of what she said. She's kind of what she said out loud.
But if you remember correctly, they had a mass exodus.
They did. All I'm just saying is she's probably lying to say, it's not you, it's me.
Of course. It's not you, it's me. And then Hannah Hidalgo wrote that weird Players Tribune article that was like, "I am not homophobic." And then everyone was like, "The fact that you're writing this makes you seem more homophobic." And then, they were talking on, Olivia Miles was talking on TikTok that, no, it had nothing to do with Hannah Hidalgo. But regardless, a lot of people left Notre Dame. Notre Dame ranked 15th now, despite, they kind of had an underperforming championship run. What did they go out in the Sweet 16? Elite 8?
Yeah, I believe that's right. Let me see when they actually got eliminated. Sweet 16 to TCU. Yep.
So, an early exit from the tournament in the Sweet 16 to TCU. Not really what they expected, but number 3 overall ranked player by ESPN this season is Hannah Hidalgo. I remember seeing, and I cannot find the stat line anywhere, that she had 40-something in one of the preseason games. She had 27 in the season opener. Can Notre Dame be legit behind Hannah Hidalgo, or is it just not enough?
The odds for them to win the title are 25-1 behind Texas, LSU, UCLA, South Carolina, and UConn. The answer is
6th best odds?
Yeah, the answer is I don't think so. I don't think so. I like Duke and I like TCU more than I like Notre Dame. That's no shade on Nell Ivy. That's no shade on how electric Hannah Hidalgo is. You're talking about a team that had to overhaul their whole roster. And I'm very dubious that that's a team that's going to be some sort of monster in the postseason. Remember, it was like at one point in March or April, they had like 3 active players on the roster.
I remember. It couldn't even get a team together.
So, no, I think Hannah is going to put up video game numbers. I think she's going to look excellent. But my eye is more on Texas. My eye is more on LSU. My mind is more on Duke than anybody else. And I know Duke just had a heartbreaking loss in the first game of the season. But Kara Lawson is really a great coach. She upset a bunch of teams in the tournament last year. And I think they've got a little bit more continuity on their team.
I'm going to throw one at you. Is Hannah Hidalgo a possibility for first overall pick next year? Not next draft, but the year after. 27 draft.
She'll be going into her I think she's a sophomore. Oh, she's a sophomore.
She's a junior. She's a junior. She'll be coming out in the same class as Juju.
She'll be coming out in the same class as...
Not easy.
No, as not as Sarah either. No, I don't think she'll go above Juju. Absolutely not.
Guess we'll see how Juju heals.
Juju will be picked over Hannah Hidalgo. I am very confident in that.
Mark your words today.
Yeah, mark my words.
November 6th.
It's happening. Hannah Hidalgo will probably be like in the Olivia Miles category, like a 3rd overall pick. She's really small. That's not good in the WNBA. She's like very small. What is her height? 5'6" maybe?
5'6". Yep.
Yeah,
right.
She's like my height. She's when we stand next to each other. She's skinny.
She's little. Yeah.
She's skinny. She's a
She's
small
tiny.
5'6". She is nasty out there though. She really has handles. She can get to the rim. You have to be so good to be that size. Aari McDonald is 5'6", and I promise you, Aari McDonald was doing more than Hannah Hidalgo did in college. She's 5'6". Aari McDonald led Arizona to a national championship where they barely lost to Stanford. She's a 2-time Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year, a 2021 Pac-12 Player of the Year, and she was barely on a roster. She was a hardship player for the Indiana Fever. That is what Hannah Hidalgo is staring at. If she can't do...
If she
really,
can't
like
grow.
that's period. That's kind of like what she's
taller.
That's kind of what she's staring at. Yeah.
I guess we'll see. Tennessee is without Ruby Whitehorn for the season. They lost their opening game. They had to dismiss her after her 2nd arrest. The first one was a little bit weird. It was for trespassing and burglary. Apparently, she was trying to like get into her old apartment to get her cell phone and passport from an ex-girlfriend.
We all been there.
We've all. I mean, who hasn't?
We've
Lesbians,
all been there,
right? And the second was for simple possession of marijuana, which makes me think it was like a singular joint that she had on her.
No, I think it was 5 ounces of weed.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what kind of night that is.
I think it was simple possession. It was simple possession. Thoughts on the dismissal? I mean, it kind of seems like Tennessee had their hands tied.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very curious to see where she goes now and what happens now. They didn't really talk about it that much.
It was very quiet. It was very hush-hush.
She was a starter last year, and Tennessee losing her right at the beginning of the season is kind of scary. She was 4th in the team in scoring. I think you're talking about a situation where they had to do it. Maybe she ends up getting picked up somewhere else that needs a guard. Maybe she can go to Notre Dame. She can find God.
I remember, though, thinking it was a little bit weird because after the first arrest, the coach, they kept her on the team. And I remember the coach said something like, it's not my choice to keep her here. Yikes. Which felt to me very like I'm giving up on her as a person, where it feels like maybe what she needed was a little bit of guidance.
Grace, guidance,
guidance. I mean,
love,
these are 20-year-old kids.
Yeah, I mean, it's a terrible situation, and I'm very curious to see how this affects Tennessee as a squad as well.
They lost game number 1, so.
In a heartbreaker to NC State. They probably should have won that game.
Yep.
Did you hear Ollie?
Yeah,
all right, that's good stuff. Good stuff.
Give me right before we leave.
UConn.
Give me just, okay.
UConn wins the title.
I was going to ask the question.
I'm going to continue to say, I hate to be a chalky predictor, but UConn
you hate to give the obvious take.
There is no team, in my opinion, not UCLA, not USC, not Tennessee, not Notre Dame, not TCU, not Texas. We didn't even talk about Texas. I think Texas is fugazi.
Texas is really good.
I think Texas is a little fugazi.
Okay.
Like, this is a team that I could see going to
123 points in the first game.
I could see Texas. The problem is that there's not that many great teams. There's a lot of good teams. And so it makes these there's only one, in my opinion, one elite roster from top to bottom, and that's UConn. They're stacked. below. Could you beat them on any given day? Sure.
I think this year's UConn roster is better than last year's UConn roster.
Yes, and that does not say anything negatively about Paige. It's just a deeper, more experienced roster.
More well-rounded.
So it's like a big jump to me for the next tier. So I think whoever faces UConn, we saw what UConn did in the title run. They're beating the hell out of teams, and they're even better now. They're gonna beat teams by 30 in the tournament unless there's a big injury. So you're just playing for second, in my opinion. And I could eat my words, and I'm happy to say I ate my words. I was wrong, but like as of now, I think it's just a finality.
Fair enough. They don't lose a game. Do you think they don't lose a game this season?
Oh, maybe they do. I don't think it matters, though. They could use it. Like, remember they lost to UCLA last year or USC or whoever it was. Yeah, it's fine. Whatever. Like, we'll see you there. UCLA is going to be a monster in the regular season. They've got Lauren Betch and Sienna Betch and all these girls. And they're going to be monsters. And they might even be number 1 overall seed. That doesn't mean a goddamn thing to me. We're back into the saddle, Sarah. I'm starting to find my footing again.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for joining us on our first college
episode.
If there's any teams that you want to see us cover.
Yeah, actually, tell us in the comments, like, who should we be watching, in your opinion? Who do you want us to break down? What players, what teams, what coaches? And we'll do it. There's a lot of teams to cover. So just say, hey, talk about Duke. Hey, talk about Texas.
Yeah, Duke lost game 1.
Yeah, they did. Kara Lawson, shout out to her. Toby Fournier is one of my favorite players in all of college basketball. She's a beast. Anyway, let us know who you want us to chat about for next Friday's episode, and we will do it. 1, 2, 3, let's close it out, Sarah. Let her shoot.
University.
Let her shoot, University. Let her shoot, University.